Welcome back to another week of Open Mic Night. This week it's a great week to be an Apple fanboy, and I'm excited to talk to you guys about my favorite things from WWDC, so stick around. It's going to be a really fun show. All right, so welcome back to another week of Open Mic Night. Really glad you guys made it back. Welcome to all you new listeners out there and watchers. This is a show from WeakerTech.com, and this is a show where I talk to you guys about the latest tech news that happened in the last week. But this week is kind of a special edition because you guys know how much of an Apple fanboy I am. And last week was WWDC, the Worldwide Developers Conference put on by Apple. It's where they announce a lot of their new things in relation to their software, and I am extremely excited to talk about it. So I'm just going to get right into it. Last week, like I said, WWDC, and what I want to talk to you guys about is kind of my top favorite things out of WWDC. There are plenty of good articles out there. There are plenty of good resources if you guys want to go out and find all the details of what they said at WWDC. So I'm not going to cover that. I'm not going to cover all the boring details. I'm not going to bore you guys. What I want to give you guys is the top things that I thought were super important for consumers, for people like me. I'm not a developer, and so for me, what I was looking for from WWDC is I want to see features, I want to see things that I'm going to use in my everyday life, things that are going to make a lot of things easier for me. And what I really wanted to see, I wanted to see Apple go through a checklist of things that I said, hey, Android over here has this, and I want it now in iOS. And let me tell you, they went through that checklist and just checked everything off on my list. So what I want to go over with you guys is my top few things. And so the first thing we're going to go on and talk about today is iMessage. The improvements to iMessage were fantastic. They are exactly what everyone needed, what everyone wanted. And some people say that, yes, there's some features that were a long time coming, but they're finally here, and I'm going to tell you guys about them today. So, first of all, in iMessage, the group feature that all you guys, I'm sure if you have iPhones, I'm sure if you guys have iPads, you guys have been a part of a group message. Now, if you've been a part of a group message, you know that it's kind of a painful experience. You know that when you get notifications, sometimes if everyone in the group is talking, your phone is constantly buzzing, even if you're in a time where you can't have your phone constantly buzzing. And you also know that you guys can get stuck in this endless group chat that you don't want to be a part of. Maybe your work employee is sending out a message about some party at work and everyone's talking about it and you're like, I'm not going, I don't care, I don't want to be a part of this. Apple answered all of these problems. So first of all, in iMessage, you can now add and remove yourself from groups. You can add certain people and remove people at any point. It doesn't need to be at the start of the conversation like it does now. So right now, if I want to start a group message, I go to add, I type in all the people, and it just creates a group message. And those people are stuck in there until we stop talking, and really until I delete it, or else I can bring that conversation up over and over again, and it'll keep recreating it. So what they did is you can actually remove yourself from conversations, and you can also add people to conversations. And this is a feature, yes, that is a long time coming. BlackBerry Messenger back in the day had it, and we're starting to see that, finally Apple added it, but I'm very excited. And, iMessage, this whole iMessage community and what Apple has really done with all of their devices, it's not easy, and it takes a lot of time. So I'm okay with Apple just now adding in this feature, but it's good. And I'm going to definitely use it because I've definitely been part of those chain messages I don't want to be a part of. Also with iMessage is the ability to put on Do Not Disturb on certain chat feeds. So if you're in a group message that's talking a lot and maybe you're going into a meeting or maybe you're going into class if you're a student and you want to just turn those off because they're really active, you can click Do Not Disturb and it will not vibrate, it will not alert you when that certain chat thread is lighting up. But obviously they'll be there when you want to go back to them, which is another fantastic feature. Also with the group messaging is the ability to go back and see all of the media that they have sent. So if someone sent a ton of, if you have a lot of photos going on in your group message, maybe it's a family group message and you guys have been sending photos, maybe you guys are all in different cities and you send different photos and stuff like that. All that is now in one place. You can go and see the media that was sent by everyone in that group. So no more scroll, and finally find the photo you're looking for, which I've done numerous times. And that's actually, I believe, in all of the chat threads. So even if you have an individual conversation going with someone, you can go back and see the media that's been sent. And I know I've done that countless times. I'm like, well, I know someone sent me a picture of that. Let me go find it. And it's scroll, load more and scroll some more. So they finally answered that feature as well. And also, they added a lot of cool features to the lock screen. To the lock screen. So when you guys get a message, there is a lot of ability to respond to those messages from the lock screen. And a lot of these include audio messages, which are now supported in iMessage, and also quick maybe video messages that are available from the lock screen. So if you have an audio message, you can kind of raise it to your ear and listen to it, and you can also respond to it all through those sort of things. And so iMessage really was just completely overhauled. They completely redid it. It's really redone from the ground up. They added a lot of features that people wanted. They added a lot of usability. And really what they did was they really Sherlocked a lot of other apps. And when I say Sherlock, it means that there was an app for this before, and now Apple includes it in their free software. So what I mean by that is WhatsApp was a huge app that did a lot of, audio files, and people could do group messaging, and you can add and delete people just like that in WhatsApp. It was really big in the United States. Now, it's still going to be big in the international market because of the texting rates, but as of now, Apple really solved that problem for the U.S. consumers. And so if you're someone who used WhatsApp in the past and you just did it for the group messaging and all of you have iPhones, I think Apple answered a lot of your questions. And so iMessage was the one thing that I was just really impressed with. I really liked because it is the one thing that I probably have the most complaints about with Apple. I feel like BlackBerry Messenger and WhatsApp and all these companies have proven that it's really easy, or it should be easy, to implement these features in a group message or an iMessage sort of system. And Apple finally went through and just did it. They knocked out all those checklists with the problem I had in iMessage. So the next thing I want to talk about with you guys is continuity. Now, continuity is a really cool concept, and a lot of other companies have tried it in different ways, but Apple has really gone through and really made it flawless. So what continuity is obviously if you are in the Apple ecosystem, meaning you have an iPhone or you have an iPad and you also have a Mac computer, Apple is really, the whole point of this WWDC was really saying, hey, if you are in the Apple ecosystem, we're going to hook you up. You pretty much have a premium membership to Apple if you have all their devices, because they really made them work together extremely, extremely well. And so what continuity did is it's something that, if I'm on my iPhone, per se, and I'm composing an email, and I walk up to my computer, pretty much in some way, my phone and my Mac are going to know that I'm right next to each other. And my Mac might pull up that email and saying, hey, do you want to finish that email on your computer now that you're here? And there's a lot of different features with continuity. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can do with it. It's not just the fact that you can bring up documents. One of the coolest features that I think is that continuity, if someone calls me, I can actually answer and place a call all from my Mac. So if I have a call coming in on my phone, but let's say my phone's maybe over on the desk and I'm on my computer anyway, and I have a microphone and I have a speaker system obviously built into my Mac, I can answer that call from my Mac. Now, I must admit, they didn't say a lot of the details on how all this is working at WWDC, and obviously, since I wasn't there, I wasn't in all the developer little rooms that they have later. That, at WWDC, they have their main keynote, and then for the entire week, they have little sessions where they really focus in on certain aspects that are going to be new to Apple, because they're working with the developers. It's a developer conference. And so I'm not sure how this is all going to work. I don't know if the person needs to be on an iPhone or anything like that, or if maybe the provider, maybe Sprint, Verizon, needs to, approve, voice over Wi-Fi or anything like that. But it's a really cool concept that, since I have an iPhone, and I run a Mac, which I do, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to be able to just pick up where I left off. I'm going to be walking, I'm going to be coming into my apartment, working stuff on my phone. And as soon as I sit down on my Mac's going to say, hey, this is where you left off on your phone. Let's just continue from here. And I think it's a really cool feature. And I think it's something that we'll see a lot of uses for once it's finally released. A lot of these things are in beta from here on out. So a lot of the developers actually have beta of iOS 8 and Yosemite, which I have not actually said the name of the new Mac OS 10 version, which is Yosemite, the previous version being Mavericks. But the cool part is that they're in beta, and these developers are going to start thinking of really cool ways to integrate this with their system. And so I think really we're going to kind of have a lull here. We're going to have a lull until fall, quote unquote, when they are releasing all of these versions to the public. And then once fall comes out, we're really going to see a burst of creativity and uses for, continuity and the iMessage thing and answering phone calls on your Mac and things like that. Things that I just think are awesome. And so Yosemite really, now to move on from kind of iOS to Yosemite, iOS had a lot of other features, and I really encourage you guys to go check out some other sources to find out the exact full rundown of what all the new stuff to iOS 8, because it was amazing and it was fantastic. But I'm going to move on to Yosemite right now. Yosemite, carrying on the tradition that Maverick started with, going after California landmarks. That's what they're naming their OS 10 versions of. So this one is Yosemite. And Yosemite had a lot of new design features, maybe not features, but a design overhaul. What it did was it really went in there and it changed the entire look of Mavericks, and not entirely in a bad way. What it did was, every single icon is now different, and every single thing is just, it's changed just in the slightest way, but it makes it look a lot slicker. Obviously, we had iOS 7, which went in and really redid the entire look of iOS 6 on the iPhone. And so I really like that Yosemite went in and made minor design changes that really made a difference. And so I really liked Yosemite in that way. And there was a lot of other additions to Yosemite that you guys should go check out. Really, the things that they showed off, Mail is a lot improved. With the continuity, a lot of the features of Yosemite really went with iOS 8. Especially with the continuity. I mean, being able to answer calls and pick up where you left off on your Mac, where you left off on your phone, is a big feature. So definitely go check that out. But those were really some of my favorite features that WWDC had. I really liked the iMessage. I really liked continuity. And I really liked the Yosemite and just how clean they made the overall system. But the next thing I really did want to talk about was, for you developers, my other favorite aspect, non-consumer, would be Swift. They made an entirely new programming language called Swift, and it's really meant to make the programming process of these games easier on the developers and faster for the developers. And there's a lot of other features in Swift that make it really easy for developers. But for you guys out there, Objective-C is the language that everyone has written Apple apps in before. And so what Swift does is it really gets down, it eliminates kind of the C aspect. It's a very C-sharpish, so I'm kind of losing all of you consumer people out there when talking this, but I'm just going to mention it real quick. You kind of lost that, it's really like C-sharp. It really takes out some of the rough edges that C had, takes out some of the long things that C had, and it really just gets to the bare bones. And so I'm really glad Apple created this language. I think for developers, it's a big step. It's something that they really wanted to see, something that just Apple needed to change, and they finally did. And someone wanted to see this new programming language come out, and it did. And I think developers are really going to like it and take to it. Actually, it was really funny. On Twit, actually, Leo said that someone within less than 24 hours put on GitHub an actual Flappy Bird clone written all in Swift. So that's really how easy it is going to be to learn for these developers, because it's a lot like Objective-C, just a lot quicker, a lot faster. Something as simple as eliminating the need for semicolons. Semicolons at the end of every line of code, you're going to eliminate that. It's going to be faster and easier to use. And so Swift was really exciting to see out of WWDC. And so that was really WWDC. There are a lot of other things I want to talk about. If you guys want to have individual conversations with me, feel free to tweet at me. My Twitter is @mweeger, and I would love to talk to you guys about all the great features of iOS 8 and Yosemite. Obviously, I didn't want to have an hour-long show and talk about them, because there's plenty of other articles out there that explain all the details. But also, if you guys go to my website over at WeegerTech.com, there's a Contact Me feature, and you can go into there and you can just send me an email, and I'll respond to you, and we can talk about all the awesome features and what you guys think about WWDC and the announcements, if you guys liked it, if you guys didn't. One of the biggest criticisms was that, yes, WWDC was great, but I felt like I was at Google I.O. 2010, Google I.O. being the big Google announcement. And a lot of people have said, Apple really, all they did was pull in features that Android's had for years. Yes and no. Yes, they pulled in a lot of features that Android already had, but Apple does it in a way that's seamless. Apple, with their software, it's easy to use. Everyone will agree that Apple iOS is the simplest system to pick up. It's the system that you would give your grandmother to use, because it is that simple. And with Apple adding all of these power features and all of these great things, it really just, it boosts their ecosystem. And Apple has a way of making it easy. They integrate it into all their systems, and it is a way that Apple does things. I don't know what it is about Apple, but the way they bring these things in is just different than Google does. So to all you guys who are saying it's the same thing as Google I/O, I'd agree. The features, a lot of them are the same. A lot of them are things that Android has had for years, but the way Apple does it, I think will be better. But we'll have to wait until fall to see. I am not a developer, so I will not have the beta version on my phone. So I will have to wait until fall to see that. So you guys will definitely see a review from me on iOS 8, and you'll see a review from me on Yosemite in the fall, but not until then. And really, all the ones you're seeing now, they're under a confidentiality thing saying they're not supposed to be talking about it. But that's the rule. A lot of people break it. So to move on, I kind of want to move on to the picks of the week. And I had two that I really wanted to share with you, but I'm only going to share one. I'll save one for next week. So come back next week for another awesome pick that I think you guys will love. But this week is my number one app that I have used the most this week, and I really like it, and I want to tell you guys about it. And you guys have probably already heard about it. So it is Lyft, and that's Lyft. And Lyft is an app, and it's a service, and it's a company that really is a taxi cab company driven by people like you and I. So Lyft is a company that if you or I, we have a car and we want to be able to drive around and, be pretty much a taxi service. All of us have cars, and a lot of them sit in the garage when they're not being used. So why not go out there and pretty much be a cab driver? So Lyft is friendly people that use their own car to pick you up and take you where you need to go. Now, don't worry. They do a background check. They do a inspection on your car. It has to be a 2000 year or newer. The driver has to be 21 years or older. They do not only a background check, but they also do a driver's test or a driver background check, kind of see you have to have a certain amount of points and less than this and that. They have a lot of standards for their drivers. And so the drivers are safe people. And also Lyft comes out and personally rides with each Lyft driver. They drive around with them to make sure that they're a safe driver. They're a type of person that you would want to get into a car with. And so really what Lyft is it's happy people, fun people that can come pick you up and take you to where you need to go. Now, Lyft is in only certain cities, but on Lyft, I believe it's Lyft.com. Just go Google Lyft. There is a list of their cities in there. And I live in Omaha, and so that is one of these cities, and they just came here. And if they just came to your city, check and see. Sometimes they have promotions. For me, it was your first 10 rides up to $25 was free. And so it is an app. And so when I open the app, I say, I need a Lyft. And it shows all the cars that are around in my city, and it'll tell me how long it's going to take them to get here. It'll show me the picture of the driver when they're about to come. So I can, okay, this is the guy I'm looking for. It'll tell me the car that he is driving. And when he shows up, they're all really friendly. And to give you guys an inside little tip with Lyft, the thing to do when you get in is to kind of give them a little fist bump. And then you entered your destination when you requested a Lyft. So when I requested, I added my destination so the driver knows where I'm going. We show up there. I just get out, give him a little fist bump, and say that was, see you later, man. That was great. Thanks for the ride. Now, after this whole process, Lyft will ask me if he was a good driver, and he will ask the driver if I was a good passenger, and we rate him on a 5-star scale. And so that way drivers know if a passenger is always kind of, he's a little rambunctious or he's kind of a jerk, you can rate him lower, and so they don't have to pick up those people. And also for me as a driver, I want to let other passengers know that, hey, this guy was really friendly, and he was amazing, so I'm going to rate him 5 stars, definitely ride with this guy. And then also it just charges my credit card at that point. I'm able to give him a tip if I want to. It was just a flawless way to get around my town. We did it a few times, and it was amazing. I have used a cab before, and I've called a cab company, and honestly, most of the time, the minimum amount of time they tell me is 30 to 45 minutes. My cab will be there. And then they usually are on the later end, probably about 45 minutes. And then when I get there, it's always a hassle of how am I paying because their credit card machine never works. And, sometimes I don't have cash and things like that. So I would highly suggest using Lyft. So give it a try. Go out and search the App Store. It's on Google Play and the iOS App Store. Search Lyft. Give it a try if it's in one of the cities that you guys live in because it is the best cab service you will ever use. So that is it for Open Mic Night. I can't believe it went so quick. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you guys have any questions, again, I'm going to put it up there. Tweet at me. My Twitter handle is @mwieger. And also, just make sure to go to my website. It's wiegertech.com. But also, if you guys want to go one step further than contacting me, I have a new page, and I actually had my first patron support me. But I'm going to put the website up. This is patreon.com. It allows you guys to support small, guys like me who can't go out and maybe get the ad revenue or the things like that, you guys are able to support me if you guys like my content. And so the website is patreon.com/WeakerTech. And really, if you guys go on there, you can pledge as little as $1 a month. So for a candy bar a month, you guys can become a patron. And I had my first one last month, and you know who you are. And I just want to thank you again for being a patron. And I'm going to ask you guys, I have a goal. My goal is to reach $20 a month in support from you guys. $20 a month is how much it costs for me to run my website. And that's one of my expenses for doing these shows. And so I just want to be able to maybe cover that website. So my goal, maybe from 2 weeks from now, if I can get to it, would be to have $20 in supporters. So if each of you guys went and did $1 a month, we'd be way over that goal. Even for my average viewers on this show. So if each of you went and did $1 a month, we'd be way over. So for a candy bar a month, you can help me reach my goal and help me cover really my costs of running this show and doing all my other tech tutorials for you guys. And so the last thing I want to close with is I just did my first freelance video project. I did a tech tutorial series on GIMP. For those of you guys who don't know what GIMP is pretty much a free Photoshop replacement. Obviously, it's not as powerful as Photoshop, but it's a great way to edit your photos and to do other things like that. And so I went over and I did a 10-part beginner video series. So it's day 1 through day 10. You watch all 10, you'll get a really basic view of how to use GIMP, and you'll have all the tools you need to go out and use GIMP. And that is over at, on Wild Academy's YouTube page. And I'll put a link to that in the description. But if you guys search for Wild Academy or GIMP tutorial, if you guys even look through the depths of YouTube, usually if you search GIMP, you'll find it. But I'm going to put a link to that below. Jacob Williams owns Wild Academy, and he's really starting a great channel over there. So if you guys want to learn coding, if you guys want to learn some 3D modeling, and now GIMP, you guys can go over and check out his channel. So that's Jacob Williams, and he just does some amazing stuff. He's got some amazing videos, and he's bringing in a lot of fun creators. Obviously, it's a shameless plug because I am one of the creators. I made the GIMP series, but he's going to start bringing in a lot of great creators for some amazing content. So go over and check that out. Again, a link will be in the description after the show. If you guys are watching live, it's not there now, but it will be. And so I just really suggest you guys head over there. I've had a great time tonight with you guys. I hope you guys had a good time too. But hopefully I see you again. Hopefully I see you guys next week. I really hope I do. But until I see you guys again, tech on.